The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kids traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now, the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
Okay, here we go. Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you are a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. I welcome you because we are all going through this situation in life. Whether or not people are going to tell you that we're going through, because the reality is that a lot of people will not share with you or express to you what is happening, why it's happening. Before I got on here, I was thinking about something. It was regarding what it means to be grateful and gratitude. And I say all that because, our definitions of gratefulness and gratitude, it's different depending on who you are talking to and their history of certain things. And I bring that on up because what you see here going on in the United States is that it's actually understanding the level of issues that's going on here historically. There are different mechanisms to that, and those mechanisms have been brought about by inequities. Was it to be equitable that folks have a fair understanding or a fair opportunity that is shared amongst everyone? Unfortunately, that has not happened. And it hasn't happened because that has been the course of this nation's history, and not just this nation, over the course of time, of how this world has treated the Most High's people. That treatment then leaks on over to other people, to other arenas. But at the heart of the matter is, we have always been the targets. Other folks then do pay for that targeting because they think that they can jump in. That won't affect me. That won't happen to me until it affects them. Until there's policies and legislation and things of that nature that affects them. Because they will cut their nose to spite their faces. and not realize that they have been going through colonization. This is why, again, they do not like history, because history exposes things. It exposes people. We're going to talk about that here in a second. I first want to show this. This is the THAAD missile system not working. Here's another perspective. Here we go. So you can tell that those aren't AI. There's too many other things happening in the background. So Iran has released a video of the attack on the base in Jordan. The footage clearly shows that Iran has exacted this event. I don't think it's, we're not in a, let me break this down. Let me break this down, because I'm going to tell you that this is stupidity on all sides. The U.S. and Iran. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not here to be a cheerleader for Iran. Trust me, I'm not. I'm not paid by any foreign governments or foreign agents on behalf of Iran. I'm not. But the way that I see this, and I've been critical of Iran. Trust me, I have. They're being stupid. They're being oblivious, outright dummies. And let me blow this comment on up so you can see this comment here. Because what this shows is that there's no type of strategical thinking or analysis. That's even the same here in the United States. Well, what are you going to do? Well, we're going to close the Strait of Hormuz because we're not trying to ship out Iranian oil. And you're going to then backlog the whole world, because now the whole world, understand, the whole world is going through an energy crisis. Don't get that twisted. We just haven't seen the impacts and the effects here because, again, the U.S. is backfilling the shortages of Western nations, or else Western nations, as soon as they feel the impacts of those shortages, they turn their back on the U.S. I don't think, I pray that our people are understanding this. This is why when people are like, oh yeah, we have a strategic petroleum reserve and everything else, yes, but it's not going to be of use to us, especially here in the West, especially those of us that are still here in captivity. It's going to be worse. You know, I had said this a little bit ago, and Brother Fatsnickel had talked about this yesterday. It's not real to people until it starts to actually impact them. These little tit for tat videos of strikes in Jordan and Kuwait and these other places, it doesn't really mean anything. These THAAD systems being blown up, it doesn't really mean anything because here's the thing: America has monopoly money. So all of these, yeah, and it's a shame that you're seeing these folks being deleted over war, and you have all these AI videos and everything else that's posted by that Eastern Mediterranean nation, the AI slop. Because if you notice, they're not able to really have that much of an impact that they once had. You're now seeing these strikes, King Faisal Air Base in Jordan. They're getting hit. You're now seeing that Aludaid Air Base has been getting hit, or not only they've been getting hit, but they've been moving their planes. And these folks are now posting and showing how these missiles are now impacting Jordan. And if they're impacting Jordan, what they're doing is they're preparing the battle space per se. Because again, it's a consolidation effort. Now, what is Iran concerned about? Iran is concerned about their immediate area. Why is that a problem in terms of excuse me. I'm trying to make it through, family. I'm dealing with some things, so you're gonna hear me muting in and out. Excuse me. So the problem that you have is that, to me, no one is things aren't being taken seriously enough. All right, well, a couple people, they got deleted. Yeah, I get it. That's a tragic, horrible loss of life, especially in this instance where, to be quite honest, in my opinion, and I'm sorry to say that, as a retired Army officer, that they literally got deleted for nothing. Hence, that's why I retired in 2020. I put in my retirement. I was officially retired in 2023. Because why? Because they wanted to delay my retirement. Can't you just, sir, don't you just want to, sir? And I said, nope, I'm good. Well, things are going to be different. Biden's going to be in, and you hear all that stuff. I'm good. Why? Because I know how the game is played. This is the eagle. I know who I am. Look, I'm an Israelite. First and foremost, I'm a Yahudim. I know who I am. So if I know who I am, I know what the scriptures declare. And if I know what the scriptures declare, then I know the trajectory of where we're going. The last 10 to 15 years, even in Iraq with Obama and everything else, the drawdown wasn't to draw down forces in Iraq. The drawdown was to prepare a generation, our sons and daughters, to fight about or to fight over what they're fighting over right now. Because why? Because America has been in a downward spiral since we got off of the plantation. I laugh because I see these folks that trade on the charts and they're trading on the margins, and they're not realizing that they're actually trading on an algorithm because they've been using algorithms since before many of us were born. Why is that? Because there's different resets in terms of wealth distribution. If you understand that the system in the game has always been rigged, then you understand where the manipulation comes. The problem now is that everybody's getting too good at these charts because now everybody can see and ask AI because those kinks haven't been, on out there. But at the time of the end, it's really who cares? You're going to now be in a different system. Because why? Because the algorithm, especially with the money, the monetary flow, is going to continue to do what it's going to do even until this thing ends. Oh, we're on another system. Okay, bring in the next algorithm. People won't see how the algorithm works. It'll probably take a couple generations, a couple lifetimes. Oh, that's how that works. Oh, this is why. Oh, that's why. We won't be here for that, but they will. That's going to be their captivity. You have to understand their captivity is always going to be just like our captivity. You're always grasping at straws. You're always thinking, hey, if I just had my shot, I just have to be grateful. I just have to be, do you understand? And the captivity of our forefathers, do you understand that they were grateful to eat pig slop, to eat things that was defiling them? Well, you need to be grateful. And unfortunately, I have to say this. I do give Europeans credit for this, especially with the French Revolution. They'll get to the point in time to where they'll just up and revolt. Viva Revolution. Now, we could go back in history and we could understand why did the French revolt? Well, the French revolted because, quite simply, you did have a very successful revolution in Haiti, and that revolution in Haiti then weakened the resolve of the French because again, when you're taking L's on the other side of the world, it makes an impact. So what do you think? What do you think Trump's job is to do? Trump's job is to always say, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning. They want to have a deal. We're winning, we're winning, we're winning. They want to have a deal, which is why I'm going to tell you this, and you may not like this, but I look at this in terms of why you understand scripture, especially when it comes to 2nd Esdras 15 verses, I believe, 36 through 45. Iran is going to get messed up. because Iran's not understanding this isn't a regional game. This is a global one. See, what China and Russia and Iran are trying to do, let's coordinate something nice. I'm going to tell you something about China. China's messed up too. Go ahead and get a true breakdown of the Boxer Rebellion. Get a true breakdown of how they had been messed up via opium through the Brits. Get an understanding of how the nations, the top nations at that time, literally formed a coalition and came into China to put down the revolution, and get an understanding that China had a dowager queen, basically a queen that's ruling instead of the king that still has to, quote unquote, be of age. And they were just raking China for the resources. They had a revolt, they had a revolution, and they got put down. And the nations of the world at that time, yeah, the word is against China, but you also have to understand the slice and the panorama per se. Okay, you got to understand where the nations fit at in this and prophecy. And I think our people have to understand this. Prophecy is a script. The Most High was against us. He's now turning his face back on us. He's now treating us with kindness. We're now starting to see our brothers and sisters on the continent reaching on out, saying things on our behalf, even though our people here are messed up. Our people out here can't understand it. So in this day and in this time, China is doing what the Most High is declaring for China to do. It's just that China is messing up. Same with Russia, same with Iran, same with all these places. I don't understand how they say, well, it's the great Satan and they're fighting against the great Satan, but they're still playing Satan's game. We already knew who these people were. The word has already declared it. We already knew who the oppressors and the enemy were. We've already understood this. We're just waiting now to see how these nations get down, because there's going to be some nations that win and there's going to be some nations that lose. There's going to be some nations that's going to be trampled down by the beast and literally obliterated. And in my opinion, I'm seeing that that's going to happen to Iran. They're going to get obliterated. But when they get obliterated, then the rest of the world is going to say, no, that went way too far. Just my opinion. How are you going to be able to say that Saudi Arabia, quote unquote, Saudi Arabia, they're able to get, quote unquote, nuclear technology, but Iran can't? It wasn't about weapons. It was never about weapons. They were, do you know that they were complying with everything that was done in the JCPOA? They were in compliance. It was just that the JCPOA and the IAEA, the one rat-looking guy from Italy, they were trying to falsify the reports. Oh, like, they're not in compliance. And I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. Raffini or Berlatini, something like that. Well, this is why we had to go through, and this is why. But they're trying to now give nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia. And I'm going to tell you this. For our people, you have to understand our people are constantly oppressed over there. Get out of there. They are a huge violator of human rights. Trust me, I know. I've been there. No amount of money would have kept me there. No, thank you. I just would have been a very well paid slave, but a slave nonetheless. No, thank you. Hey, I don't think it's working on out for me. Can I just get my passport and bounce? What passport? Yeah, there are black people in China. There are black people in Russia. There are black people in Iran. There is our people. But the reality is that the engagement of the slave trade, of an active slave trade, even though there may have been a time frame, it wasn't carried out like what you had with the West and the Arabs. Generally speaking, there are people that participated more than others. There are those that participated because it's like this. You have a pew pew to your head and you're told to smoke the rock. Smoke the crack rock or you're going to get blasted. That's why the whole world is going to be judged in this. Nobody's going to get off scot free. Everybody's going to feel something. They're thinking, well, it's just going to be a natural change to, another area of captivity against black people. Africans. Yeah. I know that they're gonna get back their people from the rest of the world, the four corners, but we can still go through and subjugate. Understand that what's gonna end up happening, they're not gonna be able to do that. There is an actual issue that's going on. Now, I would also understand this. The borders that we think are a little different. The Medes and the Persians. The Medes. The Medes also, if you look at certain scriptures, they'll talk about the Scythians and things of that nature. When you look at Jeremiah 50 and 51, those passages allude to your Chinese and Russian components. Of course, the names will change over time. Ararat, Rus. They literally will give you an etymological breakdown of how names come to be. Russia's a little different because Russia still has a lot of its historical components because they're able to trace their historical components back to like the 9th century. So that's a long-standing histrionic, and that's why they really don't like Russia, because they're thinking, okay, Russia should be able to feed their power, Because what's the main common denominator of all the countries that have ceded their power to the West? Well, they don't look at their history. You have to be able to either ignore your history or try to delete your history or lock up your history so people don't remember. Why do you think that they don't want people to remember? Because then they'll get an understanding of who had been wronged and why they were wronged. If you remember that you have a historical grievance against me, I got to fix that. No, I don't know. I don't know. Are you sure? I don't remember it like that. Are you sure? Hello. Do they not do the same thing with us? I don't know. I don't. Are you sure? Or, I don't. I don't. You know what? I don't even think that there was really slavery. I think that it was really a bad contractual agreement gone wrong. Then where are the records? Because Lords of London, they have the records. Yeah, but you know, when we gained independence, we didn't need to go through all that. It doesn't matter if you change management. It doesn't matter if you still had the stolen goods. The other management still has the records of stolen goods. We're still stolen goods. We're still stolen property. And that's what they absolutely hate. They absolutely hate that what we say is now justified. They can't come back and say, "Oh, it's hate." No, 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 no. It's called justice. Exactly, Pastor Rick Fletcher. Stolen assets are still on the books. Yeah. The name changed, but the land is the same. Absolutely. They're just now able to go back and do what? They can see. They have the ability. They have their records. They have their oral histories. What they were trying to do, they were trying to destroy everyone that would have a history, because a history is actually a witness. Why do you think that our scriptures, our history, is locked away in the Vatican? They have our records. Our records testify against them. Why do you think the that Rome is trying to now? Don't get it twisted. They're going to try to finagle or do whatever they can to have a favorable outcome. Why do you think the Trump administration have basically threatened the Pope? Because why? Because at the end of the day, the U.S. is going to get thrown under the bus. We just don't know the veracity, the amount of inhumanity that's going to be displayed during this time, and it's going to be very, very appalling, to say the least. We know that. We understand that. We're ready for that. They're not. We understand what's going to get ready to happen. But they're trying to refuse. But we understand, because it's no matter what they do or what they say, it's always the Most High that's doing. I'm going to share this. This is from Instagram from a TAR operator or TAR 21 operator. He states major blow to U.S. missile defense, 300 million THAAD radar system destroyed in Jordan. American officials confirmed the radar was deployed at Muwafaq Salti Air Base, where it played a crucial role in detecting and tracking ballistic missiles across the Middle East. So now what it is, and I want to make sure that we all understand this. There is strategic purposes in terms of why Jordan has been targeted. Jordan has been, and Syria and parts of Iraq. That is the last step corridor to that Eastern Mediterranean nation. Jordan aligns to that Eastern Mediterranean nation. So the Palestinians, again, you ain't got no friends. The more the friends that you have are really the Spanish right now. The Spanish, Iranians, maybe some Chinese, and probably Russians, and maybe some other European nations that's really, really fringe, and African nations. Those are the only friends that the Palestinians have. I'm just saying. In terms of national governmental bodies. You had that with South Africa. South Africa bought the ICC in on everything through the warrant. The warrant was placed by South Africa. Do you all see how this is going? There's a flex that's going on here. This is a major flex that's going on. And have you noticed that this flex that's happening is happening from the African continent? So now, if you're seeing this flex happening from the African continent, now you have to think, boy, oh boy, this flex that's happening from the African continent, where is this all happening from? Who is saying this? What Negro or bunch of Negroes are saying this? Because the AU wouldn't be as empowered to do or say. Something is happening. Let me share this article with you. This from the Washington Post. Trump administration weighing military options in Mali, officials say. Why? Because over the course of these last 6 months, the quote unquote, I gotta be careful how I word this. The nefarious forces that are usually Western backed, the nefarious Western backed sources have not done a good job. They haven't been able to disrupt and overthrow AES. Mali and Niger are your most insecure areas. Burkina Faso is on lot. I'm just saying it is. And now you're going to get ready to have other nations, because think about this. We're going to read this article so you can see this. If approved, it would add an 8th nation to the list of countries where President Trump has ordered strikes since the start of his second term. 9 minutes ago, this is as of today, by John Hudson and Rachel Chasen. The Trump administration is wearing military actions in the West African country of Mali to target an al-Qaeda affiliated group known as Jenim, said current and former U.S. officials familiar with the deliberations. If approved, it would add an eighth nation to the list of countries where Donald Trump has ordered strikes since the start of his second term. A chapter of his presidency, he said, or presidency that he initially said would be dedicated to ending global strife and redirecting U.S. resources to Americans. There is a disagreement, however, among senior U.S. officials over whether to proceed with attacking the militant group. Let's get this understanding, and I think we all understand this understanding. This militant group, Jenim, was also the same militant group when we showed this that had partners with Ukrainians that were utilizing American weapons. So let me just use my proxy force to then have that proxy on out, and then that gives us the opportunity. Oh, look, we need to go on in. I'm just saying. I'm speculating. This is for entertainment and educational purposes. I'm speculating. Remember when they caught the Malayan soldiers and they waved the Ukrainian flag? And the Malayan soldiers were fighting against Ukrainian and Al-Qaeda forces. This is it. So, well, we're going to have to come on in. You already know. I hope they know that it's not going to work this time. I hope they know that by and large, most people are now understanding the game that America has played. Because why? Because they played the same game with us. Oh, you want to establish Greenwood? Well, you know, there's some bad hombres around here. And just to let you know, you got to be careful. And then what did they do? They had an accusation unfounded that led to state and local officials and even some federal officials firebombing that neighborhood, that district. We know the game. Because why? Because we traditionally are witnesses. Remember, they were getting mad because, again, these old folks around 100 years old were testifying in Congress. I remember. What? I can testify. What? That disproves and discredits anything that they're saying for people that hate to be disproved and discredited. Because why? They have to control the narrative. And then when you bring historical receipts, that's why all of these channels, all these platforms, we're bringing historical receipts. Shout out to brother Dante Fortson. Because the historical receipts continues to convict them. Because if the Most High is turning his face to his people, then naturally, what are we going to say? Father, we need justice. Justice for what? Justice for the wrongs that have been done. So then we have to go to the courts of heaven and say, Father, look at this, look at this, look at this. This was taken our judgment too far. They had campaigns to eradicate us. They had campaigns, to genocide us. Have you understood why they're still standing up to standing with genociders. Because why? Because they were trying to genocide us first. Well, that didn't work. Let's try to figure this on out here. And then if we need to go in harder, at least we can understand the templates and the game plans. I'm praying it makes sense. Why is this even occurring? Why are they even targeting Africa right now? Because, again, they know that they're about to lose resources in the Middle East. So what are they going to try to do? Well, we can set up this base of operations, and then we can continue to have pressure on West Africa. They're calculating. I'm telling you, West Africa, this is the time. You all need to come together. I told you ECOWAS wasn't working for you all. Everybody was telling you what ECOWAS was for. This is the time right now. Of course. This is why throughout history we see a bunch of book burning to hide the truth. Of course. What do you think? That's why I always ask people, like, let's just do like a pre-post mortem of what will happen once or when we actually leave this place. What will then happen? Because the case study has already been provided by the Egyptians. Oh, there's a couple, there's about 2 to 3 decades, centuries, dynasties. You had a people from the North Country, a people from the Hill Country, a people that came down, a people that served the god of cattle, the god of oxen. Why? Because that's how they would be able to do their sacrifices, like their forefathers. Who was their forefather? Jacob and Isaac and Abraham. Oh, we know of Abraham too, but they came down. We thought that they were going to be good. We didn't like them because we had another quote unquote change in management. And that change in management didn't like and didn't have favorability with the Hebrews, with them folks of the high country, the highlands. They were up at the head of the river. We're down here in the lowlands towards the base of the river, towards the delta. We're midway. Look, they have all the history over there in Egypt. But again, I tell you, that history is over in Rome. And that history is authorized. It only gets authorized by Rome. Rome, the Romans, you name it. Italy, Italians, Edomians, I don't care what you want to call it. You name it. That authorization is something that they are I would say the United States, the West, is afraid of. Well, let's give you millions of dollars. Let's give you aid. Let's give you this. Have you noticed that the U.S. has cut off aid? So now all of a sudden, they're going to start leaking on out. Hey, did you know this? Did you know that? All of a sudden, they're going to start giving some an interesting narrative, and then these folks want to say, I think CERN was cut off, and I think that this is a different timeline. Okay, that's because they're paid to provide that confusion. I see all these little like conspiratorial channels and everything else. Oh, it's a timeline. Is this or that? Yeah, because then they're getting paid to provide that confusion. Oh, now they're saying that black people are the people of the book, and this and that. How did we not know this? Did they turn off CERN? All that nonsense. And yes, yeah, the victor does tell the story. And guess what? The victor had told the story, and the story still made no sense. I'm laughing. I'm really laughing because a couple years ago. Oh, sorry. Excuse my chuckle because it is funny. But the chuckle is funny. You have I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna share this. Fair use, fair use. This is for educational purposes. Shout out to Convo Space because I'm gonna play a little bit of this one here. Because it has to go without saying. Let me try to, excuse me. Here we go. I got to share this. Give me a second. All right. So this is going to look familiar to a lot of people because Yacoba had shared this a couple years ago. But I'm just going to play this excerpt right here. All right.
What we know to make better sense of this knowledge. Since Israelites are from Bedouin Yemen, the southern Arabian Peninsula, they're a dark-skinned population, which establishes that Jacob and Joseph also had dark skin. And since Moses was born to Israelite parents, then Moses was dark-skinned. Now, Beit al-Maqdis, Jerusalem, and Bethlehem are on the Abyssinian highlands, where Moses settled with the Israelites, and then Jesus, who was sent as a prophet to the Israelites after Moses was born in Bethlehem in Abyssinia. This establishes that Jesus was dark-skinned, born to Mary, a dark-skinned mother. Jesus was not a European person with blue eyes, straight hair, and Caucasian features, as featured in many of today's churches. It's obvious that all those prophets, including Jesus, had very dark skin and their hair was black and curly. They had a southern Arabian, Abyssinian type of feature because, as the Quran said, offspring, one of the other, and God is hearing, knowing. And another verse, God chose Adam, Noah, the family of Ibrahim, and the family of Imran above the nations, offspring one of the other.
Now they'll say that in the Quran because then they want to be able to associate in obviously Ishmael and Edom. So I distinctly remember that because don't get it twisted. She's Arab, and she tells you that she's Muslim, and she's a professor, and she has been doing a lot of the studies and the research. But I do have to have it from the light skinned pill bottle that our people are understanding. Secrets are coming out. The secrets are coming out, and it's not just to us. Okay, let me tell you this: the continent. This is from Convo Space. I believe she's over in East Africa somewhere. I think she may be Kenyan. Don't quote me on that. But if they're seeing this content that we have been talking about, yes, brother, what C West is saying, yeah, I remember this video from a few years ago. Absolutely, absolutely. The continent is awake, or they're awakening. The awakening of the Gentiles is something different. They're awakening into shame and contempt. They're mad. Wait a second. This Arab woman is spilling the secrets. Doesn't she understand that her skin gives her privilege? Why is she talking about Abyssinia and the highlands of Ethiopia? Why is she talking about things that Israelites are talking about? Not all Israelites, trust me. A lot of Israelites, well, America's a promised land. America's this. Because why? Because even though these texts will have a lot of lies, they still have to come back to the truth. It has to correlate with some sort of truth. Yah did not make a covenant with their forefathers. He made a covenant with Yasharel. Israelites are the ones that hold the covenant. We do. We had to go into captivity because what? We broke the covenant. We're coming back out of captivity because why? Because we're going to reestablish the covenant. This time with the covenant and the oath and the sacrifice under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Don't get it twisted. That's what Paul was saying. But the Greeks and the Romans hijacked that. No, we're the new Israel. No, you're not. No, you're not. Is Israel done away with? No. But for a time, we had to go into spiritual blindness. We went into spiritual blindness, and guess what? They went to a really morbid spiritual blindness. Because why? Because they had to be given to their full devices of vanity, and this is the end of their full devices and reign of vanity. And now with this, they're now moving airplanes from out of Al Udeid Air Base, one of the biggest air bases in the Middle East, for U.S. forces, because now they're afraid, the U.S. is afraid that Iran can hit those places. Oh, and guess what other base is going to be on the menu? See, what people didn't realize, and they were explaining this, the last time that Iran had that hit, those GBU 57s, those Moabs and things of that nature, which didn't do anything. Everything's still intact. They flew from out of Diego Garcia. And then when that got found out, the UK was like, "No, no, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're changing up our stance because now Iran did show, and they did fire an intercontinental ballistic missile, and it was their old technology that they fired, and it reached Diego Garcia over there in the Indian Ocean. They weren't using their weapons. They weren't using their technology. They're now saying, look, they got their World War III weapons. That's what they done quoted. What World War III weapons? They've only been given the West a teaser. They've only been given the United States a teaser. Why do you think these other nations are like, yeah, we're not gonna, we just want to make sure that our ships are going through? And now they're willing and dealing in the background to coordinate with Iran and Iran with the Houthis. Hey, this is gonna go straight to Europe. Okay, if it does, and if it doesn't, we're gonna coordinate, and then we're gonna have Hezbollah target those ships. That's how this thing is working. That's how they're able to triangulate this. The only reason that Eastern Mediterranean nation is still operational is simply because the money is going over there. When people say, where did the money go? Why are we so poor? Where's this? The money's going over to that Eastern Mediterranean nation. How come we can't have jobs? How come we can't, do anything? How come I'm looking at LinkedIn and there are fellowships and grants and all other sorts of things going over to that Eastern Mediterranean nation? Join us now. Yeah, right. Join us in the war zone now. I know you want to because you're greedy. I know you're going to do that because you love money. For the most part, black people are just like, nah, we're good. The mother folks, look, they're going to run. And they're going to run right into their own destruction. And all we could do is look at them with astonishment. You all saw that was an active war zone, right? You all saw that they were just really getting everything rounded up, and they were going to strike that area, correct? You all saw that they were engaging in a genocide of unlike anything in this century. Yeah, but you know what? I was getting paid. Okay. Yeah, Towers is saying a report on drugs says there's 105 million people in America that is not working. It's horrible. The worst that they said, that I believe that reporter said, the worst that it's been since the Great Depression and COVID.
You
Go
said
ahead,
that
Sister
word.
Shita. I said
You
it.
said that
I said
word.
it. I said it.
Oh
Let
my
me make sure.
gosh.
Let me make sure I
We
get
must
my
be,
Cash App on up. Just in case I get
yeah, we
that
must be
white
living
circle.
in end of days, man.
No, they turned CERN off because with CERN.
Loop de loop.
My tinfoil
Shalom.
and my my metal hanger that I turned into bunny ears.
Shalom to everyone in the chat. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everyone. It felt good. It felt like the good old days when I used to just greet everybody individually. I actually miss doing that, So my apologies for to those that I didn't actually greet individually. But you know that all of you are like, you're in my heart and everything. So, but having said that, oh Good Lord. I've seen this video is old. Exactly. Charles West. This is an old video. I remember seeing this some years ago and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
it's so funny how, why is it we're the only ones that are seeing it? I think it's that, I don't think it's only when we're the only ones that are seeing it. We're just the ones that are talking about it because we got a reason to talk about it. Other
Hmm.
people, they don't want to talk about this, but I think now they want to. Some of them know that, yeah, we need to. Oh, speaking of, sorry, I know I'm just kind of flipped, but what just came into my head is your government trying to keep you in now.
Yeah, yeah. No, they are. They are.
I
Look,
said this was coming. I
we're
said
now
this was coming.
hostages.
Like when, yeah,
we're now we're now
before
hostages.
before I woke up
Hmm.
and your president was going through his before he was elected the first time. You know, I said when he kept talking about building up a wall, as a Christian, I said for you people celebrating that, yeah, to keep them out. No, it's to keep you in. I knew this was coming. The
Hmm.
way I was brought up, in terms of theology and stuff like that, biblically speaking, is a little different from a lot of other Christian churches. I always believed that whatever was going to start was going to happen would happen in America first. That's the one thing that my church taught us is going to happen in America. We were also taught that, yeah, there's going to be a time of trouble. Now, obviously, they were talking about Christians going through the time of trouble and the Great Tribulation. We weren't sugarcoated. They didn't sugarcoat it for us. They said, we're going to have to flee. They said that. That's why when Jacoba was saying that, I was like, I'm not even bothered because I know what I know. But yeah,
Wait,
I'm.
wait, 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 wait. Okay, okay. Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm glad you brought that on up. That about the fleeing part, because here's the thing: the U.S. is admitting that they are bringing out some of their people
Mm,
from these bases that have been hit by Iran. When you get hit by something, when you obviously could tell, and this was the game that Iran was playing. The game that Iran was playing was, well, it's we're gonna hit the tit for tat. You know, we're not gonna do this, or we're not gonna do a lot of that. We're trying to be, you know, Muslim like, you know, whatever they want to call their righteousness in Islam. And I have to laugh because I'm like, they don't care. These folks here in the West, they don't care. You want to know why they don't care? Because at the end of the day, nobody's on out here. I can confidently walk outside of my door, take a walk with my dog, and I don't need to worry about, you know, having on a helmet and a flak jacket.
mhm,
It's not gonna look. It's not gonna touch because they're trying to do something regionally. America is not from that region. America is over 10,000 kilometers away, roughly about 6 to 7,000 miles away. You
mm,
ain't gonna do anything. Look, you are not going to chase away the ants if you don't put raid in that ant's nest. The ants are gonna keep coming.
mhm.
I'm just saying that, like, that's why I say for them being so smart, to me, they're really dumb.
And they're not a
Yeah,
small
sorry,
people. Come
Armenian.
on now.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of them. And unlike the West, they have a they're not afraid to end themselves if for them they feel their cause is just, sorry, backwards. Yeah, they're not afraid. They
Mm-hmm.
will they will go, you know, to for a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
For them it's important. If this is important, if you know, we like to they like to put it on. Now I say in the West they love the heroics. They love putting
Mm-hmm.
themselves as the hero. I'm going to I'm excuse me, but I'm going to die for what I believe in. I'm going to, you know, because I know it's going to say, I remember there was an African brother that I think we've all seen the video. African brother, I've forgotten his name. He turned around and said, in regards to the PC version of Messiah, when has any of them ever died for anybody?
No, no,
And that's the
no.
truth. They haven't, and they will never.
No, they
You
won't.
know,
Yeah,
if it
they won't
happens,
as a collective. I mean, and let's understand this as a collective. As a collective. Now they'll let me also kind of clarify this. They will fight. Okay, they
well, they
will bring
enjoy
in their
that.
forces. Yeah, but it's not for anything altruistic. It's for if I'm going to fight for you, then I'm going to get your resources. I'm going to take your wealth, and
Yeah.
then they actually become, the people that do the oppressing. you
Mhm.
see what you see what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well, we got rid of one devil to bring in another devil, and that's the that's the idea. And it's a sad state, it's a sad scenario for them to be in.
Mm.
They're in that. I don't know how else to tell you, but that's where now, because again, with the Middle East, they have to go all in because they already know that once America, if when America has to get up on out of there, they're going to be setting off some tactical, whats.
Yeah, I just want to peekaboo, peekaboo. My sentiments exactly. That's exactly who they think they are. But it's not just them. It's all of them that have this savior complex, that have that kind of
Mm-hmm.
lack of melanin skin. They all feel that way, but none more so than Americans, white Americans. Yeah, definitely. They think they are the Avengers. They all think that they're what's his name? Captain America, Superman, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, and what's the
Well,
other one?
why do you think they've been pushing out, right? It was Marvel a couple decades ago. Now they're pushing back into what? DC, right? So
Mm.
do you see where this is going? That this is the vain imaginations, right? Hey, you're this, you're that. And the reality is that the rest of the world now sees what's happening, and they're now questioning the validity of, is this actually the truth? Do people see me as this? Do they see us as this? Is this what they experience? And then
Well,
they get mad because, again, right, the only thing that can be said, especially at these rallies, we're winning. Our debt has exploded. People aren't working. Grocery prices are atrocious. It's not fun. I look at this. I had this reflection with my son, and my son is like, "Dad, I want to get this thing done, this thing done." My son doesn't. He doesn't have a plan to stay here. He actually has a plan to leave. 20-year old has a plan to leave, and it's not just my son. It's also my kids. They're not trying to stay here. One of my kids, they're like, "Well, I want to leave to. I want to try to leave to go to Europe."
reverse immigration,
I'm like, "Yeah, you
and
can
then
try to
when
go
they
to
get
Europe.
here,
You can try
well,
to go to Europe. They're not going to let you in.
no, and
They're not going to let you in."
even if you do happen to come in, it's like, and it's not even about, oh, because you're black or whatever. They really just don't want any Americans coming because they don't like the mindset. But
Mm-hmm.
I even if, so say for example, our people come to Europe, they'll kind of be like, okay, yeah, I'm loving it here.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be different. It's going to feel like peace. It will. But then you'll get a sense of a different version of the Ray Ray. You'll
Yeah,
feel it, and it hits so
it's
much
different.
differently.
Mm-hmm.
They're sneaky over here.
Yeah, it's the same when you go to when you go to China. Same when you go to the Middle East. Oh yeah. Oh, you're American. Oh, okay. Yeah. That look. But then when you realize, oh, you're American. Look, I've had racism happen to me when I was over in the Middle East all the time. And you know what? And you know what? I expected it. It was black folks that, you know, when you could tell our people that are brainwashed, that could never happen to me. Oh no, and I would tell them, I'm like, look, man, let me give you this understanding. You're still black. I don't care if you want to call yourself an American or the most American of the American. You're still black. So,
Yeah,
you know,
Car-
you're gonna go through. Yeah, go ahead.
and I was just going to say, do you want to put up what Doomsday XL said? Because that is, I'm
Yeah.
so glad that he's. I'm guessing you're a guy. I hope you are. I'm sorry if you're not, but yeah, the things that they do here is not that dissimilar from what they've done to you guys over in America. It's just
He
concealed
said,
better,
yeah, he says,
hidden.
don't go to Europe, live there for 6 years teaching. It's a fantasy. They're still sharecropping in Spain. Mm,
They
man,
all do the
God,
same thing, the
are
same
you
stuff.
telling me there's still sharecropping in Spain? I can't go nowhere.
Nope.
Ayúdame! Ayúdame! Oh, oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
Did you
I
see the video that I sent you about uh, um, towns, black towns in this country that were wiped out by those people?
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
no, I did see that, and it shows you that whenever we do set up anything anywhere, it's always a target for destruction. That's why, look, if our people haven't realized this yet, the only place that is technically quote unquote safe for us is over on the continent. And I
yeah,
know that hurts our people. Well, you know, I don't want to do this. I'm going to tell you this. They have the look. They don't necessarily have the cash. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. They're not going to have the cash, but what they are going to have, they have the resources. And it's up to us to be able to be mindful of how we're able to work through these particular problem sets. That's what they rely on us for. How then do we make this fungible? I have that discussion every single day. What are you going to do? How are you going to do this? What are you going to do? Well, we want this. We want that. And I have to temper people's expectations. Hold on. Let's make sure that we have this. Let's get that. And it becomes very exhausting. It becomes exhausting when you're dealing with our people and they think that they're going to have or get one over on um with some sort of graph or you know things of that nature. And they get disappointed from me. I'm like, I ain't got the money to. I don't have the money to do or engage in any of that. Sorry, you're gonna get disappointed because I can't help you. Well, you know, we need this, we need that. Look, let's figure this on out with the immediate concern of why we're even doing what we're doing. Even when you're trying to do something upright and appropriate, that's what you run on into because again they're used to white supremacy. And white supremacy, they don't care. They allow for all of that cunning and mischievous behavior. Think about what you see even here in the White House. Get out of here. Well, the president's not getting rich. And it's like, okay, but what about his family? Oh, these folks are making cash over fist, and there's no shame in it. They have zero shame, while folks here in the U.S. are literally starving. Isn't that a shame? But that's what they wanted. That is what they have asked for. They voted for it. And here's the thing: I don't really care because I don't even vote. I'm not ceding my authority as a Yashra light to a power that doesn't want us anyway. Because the Most High has already set up who He's going to set up over us.
The
That's it.
scripture said
Go
there's no
ahead.
point in petitioning Egypt. And it's like these people are showing that they haven't changed. They just
Mm-hmm.
kind of went underground. They went silent for a while. They haven't changed. They're doing the same things that their grandfathers did. And now it's like, yeah, you're going to petition a mind that thinks like that and ask them to beg them to not harm you. How do you do that? How does that work? With people that hate you so much that they could literally string up one of us who is carrying your child and
Mm-hmm.
then do what they do. You're gonna petition that mindset. How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
can't do that.
Minister Rick said it all. Look, he says this. Let me bring this on up. Oh, wait a second. It says sociopaths don't care about their own people. And the
Mm,
reality is that they don't. And that's the reality. And now listen, the litmus test is they were expecting them to not care about us. So then when you have a class or a group of people that get over their own people, well, now they're in a class where they now see people that they can't get to or impact or influence, and they're
mm,
asking for help. And they're asking for help, and it's like, well, how are you going to even ask for help when you weren't even trying to do anything righteous for these folks? Do you see how that goes? When you engage in wickedness, do you think that the wicked are going to help you on out? It makes
mm.
no sense. And now they're getting mad because, well, can you help us? And now, do you know now they're not even asking us for help anymore? Because we just said the answer is no. You did this to
I,
yourself.
I think after the death of oh gosh, sorry, I've forgotten his name. I mean, no disrespect. It's just so many people. Them, all these names are in my head, but you know who I'm talking about. I think after his unaliving, I think they've kind of figured out that yeah, we're done. We're done.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We can expect these
I
people to
know who you're
actually.
talking about because I just saw a news story on this one. I just saw a news story on this one. Let me see if I can bring this
If
on out.
you share.
It, yeah, the initials are CK. We're not talking about Calvin Klein. And there has now been controversy because you can click on with the microphone in the video. They get lured out, right? Well, I don't like this person too. You don't like them? Well, you know what? Let's talk and let's do this. Well, oh man, you got. And then what do? They get hyped up. Somebody hypes them up. They get played. That's MK. They try to find. Guess what? It's all scrubbed. And then they're sitting there looking like Boo Boo the Fool when they realize that, well, you did the work for the man. The funny thing is, black people now understand that. Like, we don't do no. Look, we don't. we don't do that now. Oh, there's a code to this. Oh, if you do that, chances are it's probably somebody that does not look like you that's trying to egg you on doing something crazy like that. Now it's hard because now you got to remember for Caucasian people, they're thinking that other Caucasians have their best interest in mind.
They're finding out they shouldn't really be. Do you know what it is? It's a lack of understanding themselves. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
lack of them understanding their own history. Most people today can't even remember what happened last week, let alone to understand uh, their history. I was literally watching a Caucasian woman talking about what do you expect Americans to do? We are
Mm-hmm.
so far gone. There's nothing that we can do anymore.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
and she
Come on.
basically said the truth. She spoke the truth. They
Yeah,
can't do anything. She said the time when we should have done something was when we to vote.
yeah.
We literally messed ourselves up.
Yeah, they're paralyzed in fear. And that's what it is. It's a fear paralysis. And you cannot rationalize with people in fear. What do you think this administration does? They make people fearful.
Yeah,
Trump ain't gonna
that's
stop
how
this
we.
war. Trump ain't gonna stop. He's gonna make everything fearful. If we don't do this, because then he has to start justifying. He's gonna start to justify. This is why we had to use this unconventional weapon of mass destruction. Here was this. This is the Charlie Kirk memorial. I just put that on in there.
So they're defacing his memorial.
No, they put that up on a Tennessee highway um, because it was a stretch that was for I guess Vietnam vets.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now
I can see.
so now the vets are like, why are you covering
Mm.
up our stuff? Um, that's something that we don't want to have. So that's the
I don't blame
backlash.
them. I don't blame them on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, nearly veteran designated was designated Vietnam Veterans Boulevard nearly 4 decades ago, and this is Route 386 north of Nashville. And if you know anything about Nashville and in that area, it's a little. I think the only decent place outside of Nashville is literally Murfreesboro, just in my opinion. So this is from Elena Cerro yesterday, July 22nd. And, it was basically they did the Charlie Kirk Highway, but it was the Vietnam Veterans Boulevard since 1987. And, a lot of people are feeling a certain sort of way with that. And, it was the Tennessee State Council of Vietnam Veterans of America. Many of our veterans are very supportive of some memorial somewhere for Charlie Kirk. But you want to know what they do that because again, the reality is that for they're venerating him,
Mm.
right? And to me, I don't understand what it is and I understand what it is. They're venerating someone that was very decisive. And to be quite honest, and they don't like this, he got by his own people. He got by his own people. He got when he started to talk about that Eastern Mediterranean nation after he done taken the money. He took the money. So if you're taking the money and then you talk bad about your handlers, what, they didn't know what was gonna happen? They see all the stuff. They got the people that are taking the photos and the videos and everything else. You're telling me you don't know what's actually going to happen? What? No, you absolutely do. These folks aren't dumb. Not all money is good money. Nah, I can't do that. Because why? Because that's what's happened with our people over the years. Well, man, how come Brother Karras is sounding all crazy? Go, Minister Rick, if you get connected, I'll bring you on. How come? How come? They started to change their attitude. How come they started to change? The way that their whole approach. I come on over here. Hey, listen, we're supporting that Eastern Mediterranean nation, and next week I go on vacation in that Eastern Mediterranean nation. Huh? This is Covenant Awakenings reporting live from the Holy Land, quote unquote.
Sorry, that is true. No one was arrested, were they? Or was anybody questioned?
Yeah, they had the Tyler Robinson person that got arrested.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so he's on trial right now. But they're like, okay, then prove that I have the weapon. Prove that I did anything.
Well,
they're
not going to get anywhere because their system's not.
Do you know? I'm going to tell you this. I don't see any round actually being discharged in any of those videos. I don't see a round being discharged.
The country has advanced a long way since the Zapruder film was a 16 millimeter video of the Kennedy assassination. There's too many cameras and too many smartphones, and in the information age, they can't pull off the one assassin acting alone deal anymore. But they're so arrogant, they don't care. They're going to continue with the lie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now he is definitely a present day Lee Harvey Oswald. Exactly. He is, and that is. What can you say about that? You get lured on out because, again, they play on their vanity. Don't you want to? He's talking about this. He's talking about look. The dude was getting mad and upset because of his roommate. Part-time genders. I'm gonna say that. And the way that Charlie Kirk was saying things about that.
Yeah.
Their story just gets thinner and thinner.
Exactly. And then you get people, and then what it is, once you start to post, you think that you're posting on a chat. You think that, no, man, these folks are reading algorithms. How did you post? What did you say? What did you do? They're creating a profile. Who can we utilize? Who can we operationalize? That's what we're telling you all to be careful about what you say, what you post, how you chat, how you communicate. Oh man, I want to do. Look, you just do what the Most High tells you to do. Speak truth in peace. And guess what? You will not then be targeted by the enemy, because the enemy has real people that really will target you. Trust me. I know. I deal with it every single day in some form and fashion with craziness.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and those that love it shall eat the fruit thereof.
Exactly. Look, I have to cut off people left and right. Hey, thanks for reaching on out. I appreciate it. Thank you for your prayers. But no, I don't know anything. All I know is what this word says.
You don't even know if people are recording you.
Yeah, I know. That's why. Look, I look, and when I tell you, look, I operate in the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. No, I'm not going to say anything, because here's the thing: people are like, "Well, don't you hate these people?" Look, I'm going to tell you this. No, I don't. You want to know why? Because the Most High gave us over to them for something, for a purpose. Vengeance is Yahuwah, said Yahuwah. That's it.
They were just the rod.
Exactly.
We are supposed to be a light of the world. We're ambassadors. We have to represent the Most High. We can't be just act in any kind of way. We have to have a testimony. we have to be you have to be a viable witness to have a testimony. So we can't act them. So they're trying to impugn our testimony and show us acting a fool and doing all sorts of things. But again, we have to represent the Most High, and He's enabling us with the light that He shines through us. The Spirit of the Lord is risen upon us in this age.
Do
you know why
Jermaine
nobody?
says, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Go ahead, Sister Chantel.
I was just gonna say, do you know why why we as people, His people, we shouldn't really hate them? I don't. I know I might say like, yeah, but I don't hate them. Actually, I feel
We
sorry for them.
harshly wait. Let me break this down for you, Sister Chantel. We will harshly criticize and love.
Yeah, but
And
to them
love.
that's hate. Remember, to them that's hate.
The truth and
Yeah.
love.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: we shouldn't, and the reason for it is simply our Father ain't their Father. Our Father punished us, but what do you think their Father is going to do to them?
Well, hate is actually counterproductive. It messes with you. You've got IDF soldiers deleting themselves for the things like that. It will consume you. What I really got online about was this scripture, Exodus 25. You know, as we stand on the cusp of the Exodus, it's right after the first commandment against idolatry. It says, "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for the Lord thy God am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." These deletions of our young people with groups of their air quotes friends, they have hatred.
Wait, I want to say something. Think about this. Think about this. I'm going somewhere because remember earlier today I opened up this broadcast when I talked about cycles and things of that nature.
I wonder if you're going where I'm going.
Yeah, do you realize Bacon's Rebellion was what? That was the first cycle.
Yep.
Okay. After Bacon's Rebellion, then you had the start of the Revolutionary War. That started around it was like the 1770s. That was another cycle. That was 3 to 4 generations.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're where I'm at.
You see where I'm headed? You see where I'm heading? Okay. Then you had what? Then after
Civil
that,
War?
you had the Civil War. Yep, 3 or 4 generations. That was a 3 or 4 generational cycle. After the Civil War, you've had World War I and World War II. Those are always, to me, really a big conflict.
World altering events.
Yes, that was another cycle. Do you know that we're within that 80 to 100 year? This is now another cycle.
Yeah.
Yes, this is another cycle.
Yep.
Do you see how this goes? So
Yeah.
they have been going through cycles. So this is the fourth cycle, and they want to call it like the fourth turning and things of that nature. No, it's a cycle because those are the judgments of the Most High. Hey, I'm going to destroy. Yep, I'm going to destroy this generation, but I'll give you this and this. It's going to go up, right? Your hate's going to go up, and then your hate's going to go down, right?
The fourth Reich.
And then it's going to, and then what ends up happening over generations? Then their hate has to go up. And the reason, and I'm going to tell you this, the reason that their hate goes up and then their hate goes down. Their hate goes down because then here's what they do. Then you'll have laws of quote unquote equality. Man, everybody's getting their fair share. Everybody's this. Hey, everybody's that. You can start to make a life, right? What did they have during the Revolutionary War, Bacon's Rebellion, all these things? Hey, you're like us. So then again, there's a procreation season. For who? For them.
So the hate goes up. It's kind of like when everybody's got their share, and then there's one person who's kind of looking grudgingly when he sees other people are doing really well with their share, and he ain't so much, and he starts looking like with hatred and and jealousy and malcontent. That's how it begins. And then it just goes and they
Well,
work themselves up and up and up. And every generation, 3 or 4 generations, these cycles is the Most High trying to get through to them. Let's
But
not.
but
I
well,
don't
again,
want
but
to.
it's a
again,
couple.
but again, they are senseless. They're a foolish nation. So don't get it twisted. They're a foolish nation. So the Most High has given them the opportunities to understand things, but they're never going to get it until the very end. Now you're starting to see them coming through and say, "Hey, you know what? I really hate myself or I hate this." Look, nobody's telling them to hate themselves. What we're telling them is, you need to repent.
Repent.
You need to understand why you're in this cycle because the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And if you're doing what the enemy has you do, then it's not me that you have to repent to. You have to repent to the Most High.
Yeah,
Now,
but it's
you,
easier for them to
The
hate
Most High
themselves
has
than
a
to
cal. The Most
yeah,
High has a calculus. He says
yes,
a cup of iniquity is being
hmm
filled up. The iniquity of
yes,
the Amorites has not yet been fulfilled. And
yes,
even when the Assyrians repented at the teaching of Jonah, uh,
hmm
they got a few more generations, and they still do,
still got destroyed. Yeah,
still
they still
got
got
destroyed because
hmm
they you fill up this cup, you keep on, you reach that threshold level, and it comes down on you.
hmm Yeah, and that's what the Most High will give. He'll give you a time to repent, and then you're going to go through that judgment. Like we had said, they had a space and time to repent. All they did was they hardened their hearts, and now in
but they
this
will do.
season, a lot of them are starting to actually wake up. The reason that they're starting to wake up is simply because they are beginning to understand that judgment is upon them. The judgment was never going to start in house. We had nothing to do with that. But what we're going to do is we were stating who we were. And that's when they went crazy on the world scene. If we
You
Yeah.
can't
know,
control them, then we're going to control the world, right? We're going to try and go into Mali. We're going to try to do, and I'm being dead serious because why? In the second administration, what did Trump do? He came through, and then in less than 90 days, he set the world on fire.
He did.
yeah,
He did,
God,
yeah, with the
even
tariffs
in
and everything else.
the mercy of the Most High, even all, now offers them an escape, and it's the original escape that they can be grafted as a wild branch into
And
Israel.
and that is a blessing,
And
really and truly. And they don't like some of them are like, I don't care. I will be happy to do. Some of them have that mind, but others are like, nah, that's not fair. Why do you get to be that? And why do you? And it's like they really want to. Like, imagine they really want to come up in your house
well,
and pick up
there's
their
a
dirty
certain part
shoes
of them that are repenting, and they're pivoting towards us. I believe that's what you're talking about, Karis. A lot of people are admitting, and they have a way in. They can receive the air quotes quotes salvation as is originally intended. Another people, a wild branch, grafted into Israel. The problem was they didn't obey what Paul was talking about. They boasted against the branches, rose up in vanity, and we had all this oppression. But that still is open to be grafted into Israel. Those that cling to us now are going to escape. Those of us that are following the righteous path and following the Most High, and that our exodus can be their exodus if they're the minority that will come that way.
That's Romans 11.
There we go. Yeah, and that's actually what the Exodus, excuse me, not that. That's actually what the scripture says. When you're looking at Isaiah, I believe chapter, I don't know, it's either like it's in the first 5 chapters. And then you also read Isaiah 60 through 66, right? And then you're going to see that the Gentiles are clinging on to us. The strangers are clinging on. Which way? We're coming with you.
Mm.
We're grabbing a hold. We're grabbing a hem.
We will go with you because your father is with you.
Yes. Why? Why is that? Because now they're understanding that judgment is here. Let me show you this real
Carrie,
quick
so
because
what was that film that we were talking about that had that scene? Was it Greenland? Greenland? I've forgotten. where they were like, "Can you please take my child, please?" I think it was where there was
Oh,
a
that was Green. Yeah, I think that was Greenland.
yeah. It's gonna be like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Save him. At least give my child. At least give my offspring.
A
And
chance
I'm
for
gonna
that man
I'm
may
gonna tell you this.
continue.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm sorry. I can't be taking nobody's kids. I just can't. I got 4 mouths to feed. Three of them grown. They got one more. I got mouths to feed.
This ain't daycare, bro.
I'm not gonna be your pappy.
Hey,
I
listen,
spent
we done with that. We stopped
I
doing
spent
that
I
a
spent a
while back.
life raising other people's kids. That's been
You
my
are.
life.
What happened?
He dropped off. Yeah, his mic. He dropped off. That listen. It's gonna
I
be
ain't
like
taking
that.
that.
It's gonna be like that Cat Williams scene. That baby is not mine. That is from the Caucasus. Can you please take him? Come on, come on. Can you please? That child is from the Caucasus.
What happened, Scott? You had me grunting. Oh God, have mercy. Ah.
Take my child, please. Damn.
No, you want your child to come. You come with it, man. Just try and keep up. I'm not taking your child.
Look, the minute you act, we just have to tell them. We just have to threaten them like this. The minute you act weird, the minute we just going to turn you on over to immigration services so they can ship you back to the U.S. No, no women there. No.
Send you to the
Oh,
Sabians.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Here's this. Iran war live updates. Oil prices hit $100 a barrel after attacks in Red Sea. They're going after the Red Sea. It's happening. Again, Trump is saying that they're winning. They're not winning. Price of Brent crude soared after Iran Houthi allies in Yemen claimed strikes on 2 Saudi tankers. President Trump warned that the U.S. would hold Iran directly responsible for further attacks by the group. It doesn't matter. They weren't able to even do anything to the Houthis the last time. They had to pay the Houthis.
hmm
And
Well,
the Houthis, yeah,
that
go ahead.
Saudi pipeline that was circumventing the other strait, going
Yes.
across there and going to the Red Sea, that cuts that off.
Yep. Yeah. The Yambu. That was the Yambu oil terminal because they were getting messed up. The mom, which is near Abcake, and they have another one, Al Kharaj. I've been to both of those places, and they're in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, you know something, Harris? It's going to get really bad in Europe, and
Yeah.
the one reason I know, I went and I purchased a bottle of disinfectant the other day,
Mhm.
and I went to pour some of it into my washing machine. When it came out, it rushed out like water. I was like, okay. The last
Mhm.
time I saw that was during lockdown
Yep.
because things were not in production. So they
Yes.
had to sort of like they had to sort of like water
Water
down a
down.
lot of things. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
saw that and I knew it's getting bad now. It's getting bad.
Sister Chantel, we say in the United States, okay, they had to cut the product. Okay, they weren't getting enough of the bag. You know what I'm saying? They had to cut the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
Because
what
I think
is
who makes bleaches and stuff is from
You
China as
gotta.
well.
They couldn't cut it with the baking soda.
what is increasing? What
So
what is increasing through all of this is the anger against the harlot, and that
Mm-hmm.
when does that trigger? It's the anger against the harlot, and when the beast turns on the harlot, you the beast is getting angry and getting wily and getting free,
Mm-hmm.
and when will our exodus occur? Around that event, before, prior, whenever, do you know?
Well, I mean, I still look. We're going to be going through the fire. Look, we're going to be coming out of here crying. There's the word. Why are we crying? Because a lot of our people are like, number one, we're crying because it's going to be all of a sudden we were living in peace and safety, right? We were being told, a lot of our people listen to that. We're winning. We're winning. Oh, these gas prices are going up. All this stuff is happening. We're winning. And it's not convincing. It's not really convincing us anymore. He's still trying to convince them because, again, Trump controls the spiritual dog whistle for them.
Yeah, black people stopped listening to these white politicians a long time ago.
The
We
ones
don't
that
believe
the ones that don't believe America is the promised land. There's a certain subset of us. They got all these crazy things that are running counter to the beliefs that the Most High is teaching in the Scripture, trying to snare up our people into this. And there's a certain percentage of people that those are the ones that are going to leave here crying because they're going to leave here.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High will see to that.
Yeah, because they have their whole heart, mind, soul, everything in there. And imagine. That's why I tell people, I'm like, listen, do you not think that they're doing this all? It's not a random action. This is all coordinated. Okay, when it's going to get worse, then our people are going to be looking to come to Africa. Because why? Because number one, they're not going to be able to afford anything. Number two, they're probably going to be starving because, eating one meal a day is going to be taking its toll on them with health and other diseases. And number three, what they're eating isn't even going to be food. It's going to be some sort of junk material on out there. You saw that with the rubbery meat, whatever that was.
Genetically modified food.
Yeah, that you know what that mess looked like? That looked like what was it? Neo's first meal on the Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Matrix. In the Matrix. What is that? It's amino acid.
Or if the what's it called? The thingy machine in the replicator, it malfunctions.
The replicator's malfunctioning again.
Just some nasty pink looking sludge just drops from there. Ew.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean pretty much what they were feeding us during slavery?
Yeah, exactly. It's probably some sort of gelatin or glyceride, glycerin byproduct on some pig.
Amino acids with no seasoning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not even going to put salt and pepper in it.
No. Why? Because salt and pepper is going to be illegal. You already know what's going on here with health and human services. Look, the human services, they just need you to be alive to endure. So then because again, they're being chattel.
But do you remember in Star Wars, what was the contraband? Spice. Do you remember? Even in what's it called?
That's Doom. That's Doom.
But that's also in Star Wars as well. But I was just like to say,
was it the Mandalorian? Wasn't it the Mandalorian or whatever? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they know, but why? But why is Spice the But why was that? Because Spice was only attained on certain areas that were outside of what? The Federation, the Empire, i.e., in places like Africa.
Yeah, there was that the land had these strange people, these Aboriginal people in this one land where they were all getting the spice.
Mm-hmm. And now, understand, again, they're trying to go into Mali. I'm going to tell you this. The moment that they go into Mali, it's over. It's over because again, that is when. So remember, as I was telling you, Africa for China and Russia, they're just biding their time, right? Why weren't they really, outwardly or overtly helping Iran? And I think people have to understand this. Why were they not overtly helping Iran? Now they were telling them, yeah, Iran is now getting targeting, they're getting satellite imagery, they're able to, geolocate targets and things of that nature. More than likely they have some insiders that's able to provide, pattern of life information and things of that nature. Because again, the Arabs don't like what's actually happening to the Palestinians either. I think people forget about this.
I guess Iran had to demonstrate that they could actually stand up to the bully.
Yeah,
So
yes.
when they show some gumption, then they show some metal and things like that. Okay, everybody come in. Okay, we're going to back their play. They're really doing. They didn't want somebody who's just going to go up there and punk out, put their resources in and have them bend down like Venezuela. So when they saw that they were serious, then they backed them.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry, man. Venezuela get
remember,
no. Venezuela will never get any type of respect. Venezuela is going to be a footstool. They no war, no war. We no, we want no war. Donald, I beg you, no war.
but do you remember? Do you remember what happened during lockdown when China started mistreating the Nigerians in
Yeah,
China, and how the rest of the world, the rest of the diaspora, we were up in arms. What really peed us off was the fact that Nigeria didn't even say a thing. None of these African nations said anything. It
no,
took
they
the
didn't.
diaspora to open
One of
up
the
their mouth.
nations sent a jet in there. Was that? No, that's I'm thinking about Ukraine. They sent a jet to get their people out.
Yeah, in
No,
Ukraine,
I think
Nigeria. That was not. That was so
that
when
was India,
Ukraine
wasn't
happened.
it?
No, when Ukraine happened, a lot of the African nations, folks of national citizenship, passports, things of that nature, they were stuck. They were stuck, and the Ukrainians were trying to have them. They were trying to conscript them. They were trying to actually have them fight. And what was going on was that a lot of the because again, people don't actually like to talk about that there is a Nazi heritage that's there, and and when you understand, just like what you had earlier, I think Tyrus had said something in the chat about how the Europeans operate, and in that area you had a lot of traditional Nazis through the Banderas, I think, Banderites, that's what they would call them, the Nazi ideology. Um, Black folks knew, Africans knew that they needed to get up on out of there. And a lot of Africans, look, instead of heading to Ukraine, a lot of them they went over to the Russian side, and they were able to get they were able to get flown out.
Mm.
The Russians treated them better, and they got out of there. So there was those people are supremacists, no doubt about it. And the fact that this country tried to paint them as some type of saints that are being it's crazy. Now even the U.S. wants to pull out the money from there. They still want to fight the Russians there, but they just don't want to pay for it.
Well, we got to
You know what?
remember, the U.S. has contracts on there. They have $1 billion contracts. So what Putin was trying to say was, hey, you're not going to win this fight. I know you got these contracts. Now they're trying to say Putin is losing. Man, Putin isn't losing. That dude grabbed up most of Donetsk region, and they're afraid that he may take everything to the Dnipro.
If he wanted to, he could. He could have a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
Or he's not
Do you know
stupid
what I
enough to
find
try to rule
fascinating,
over a
though?
place. He doesn't want to rule over a place that has insurrection and things like that. Nobody wants to he doesn't want to take on a toxic asset. He wants the places that are traditionally Russian and let them fiddle with the rest of it. Because nobody wants to go in a place where an insurgency is growing out of the weeds. Nobody's smart.
Yeah, well, the area that he's actually taken is an area that's traditionally Russian, and they actually did vote on
In their referendum.
In the referendum,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah,
and that's why the government was mad because the government was always treating that area, as trash. They have a lot of sectarianism and everything else. What type of European are you? Are you Russian, or are you this? And that's been going on for centuries. That's not anything new. That's been going on for
You
centuries.
know, they were leaving grenades in their children's playgrounds.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's what those
yeah,
people were doing.
oh yeah, no, it was a very big effort of sectarian violence. And what the Ukrainians were mad about, even though they didn't like those people, they didn't like the people in that area. They want that area because that area has resources, right? So that's where you get a lot of different metals and other minerals that can bring some value. And you got to remember, for the United States, for an empire in decline, what are they trying to do? They're trying to go through
Pressure
and grab
people.
anything and everything that they can.
And
Anything
also
to
access to the
do with,
Baltic Sea is in those areas too.
yeah.
Well, and I would say this: they already have access to the so people forget Russia goes from east to west, west to east, however you want to call it. Right?
17 time zones.
What the sun does not set on the Russian Empire. For real, it doesn't.
No.
And
It's
they.
literally both Europe and Asia. It stretches. It's
Mhm.
vast.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why
very
the
vast.
people look completely. They have such a diversity of people in
Hmm.
Russia.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah, you have your Tartars, your Tartarians. You'll have your Cossacks. You'll have all manners of different people groups. And to me, the reason, and I say this, I think it's a little bit more biblical. The reason that, again, they want to go after the Russians is because the Russians. Remember, back in 2021, the Russians opened up the vault.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm just saying, the Russians opened up the vault. Vladimir came through, and he was showing those pages. He said, "Look at this, Israelites for black."
Yeah, he did what they stopped Rome from doing.
Yeah, Rome was
That's
about to
why
do
he
that in
started them.
2020, and then he
Yeah,
went and he did that in 2021, and they were mad when he did that. That's when the Biden administration, started to push in more of their military assets.
hmm
Well, it was a flood, like Dante Fortson. There was a flood of information that just hit. With the
Hmm.
Russians releasing stuff and the historical and the genetic
Yes.
at the very time of our awakening. Like Daniel said, knowledge will increase. It was a knowledge tsunami where it's indisputable. So all these urban apologists, they were just overwhelmed by the flood of knowledge. So now everybody has to admit, yeah, they're the people, but what are we going to do with it? So that's where they
yeah.
are.
Again, that's why. Why do you think you don't see them in your your recommended no more? They're not even grouped with
It's
the things that you would watch.
indisputable.
They were used to.
It's indisputable. It's now just what does it mean? That's what they are. They have to find out what does it mean. But we're the people. It's indisputable.
You know what I find fascinating though was with knowing what we know, everybody. I think everybody. Do you know? I love the fact that the whole world hates Argentina now. The whole world has seen them. And the funny
Yes.
thing is that they were being supported, highly supported by that nation. And it's like, we
And
know it.
the United States. Don't get it twisted,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
remember, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people don't understand that Trump had given Malay's administration $20 billion last year, and they're like, "Oh, it's a cattle deal." They ain't shipped not one cattle.
They,
Yeah. But here's the thing. What's funny, what I find fascinating is these people like to claim, oh, what happened to them like, years and years, decades ago. But a whole bunch of those people from Germany fled there. And then you got a
Yep.
whole bunch of the people who are in that nation fleeing there. And I'm like, okay, so why would the oppressed want to
Go
go
to
where
where.
the oppressors are?
it's a safe
Why?
space
Wait,
for
wait, wait.
people like
Why would the oppressed want to go to where the oppressor is? Why? Exactly. Because they're
argue
always
argue
one and the same. I mean, that's
argue
for real.
Because And
That wasn't even
I
the name.
just want to turn around and tell people all you need to do is look at the end of the name.
Well, you don't have to go back to Germany. Do you know Confederates? There are people around there that still wear Confederate uniforms
Yes.
after our Civil War.
Yes, they
Confederates
did.
put down
Yes.
there, from the descendants of them went to Argentina.
Hmm.
It's been a
Proven.
refuge for white
Yeah,
supremacy
that's the proven fact.
forever.
Yeah, that's the proven fact. That's why it's like they got American names, and they do. They have the English American names.
It
They
is.
they knew what they were doing.
It's so
So
weird.
let me get to this one.
You know. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Let me get to this one. U.S. surges forces towards Middle East, giving Trump options to expand Iran war. The influx of troops, medics, and weaponry followed the deaths of 3 American soldiers in Iranian attacks at a base in Jordan. And this was updated as of yesterday from a Shelby Holiday, Lara Seligman, and Stephen Callan. And, the U.S. is surging forces, medics, and weaponry to the Middle East to give President Trump more muscular military options as he considers expanding the conflict against Iran, according to people familiar with the matter. And you got to remember, again, they're playing off of the 90 to 120 day operations, and there are things that you have to know and consider. And one of the things, especially for me, as I have a different outlook on a lot of things. They're operating, and they brought them in under Operation Inherent Resolve. Operation Inherent Resolve. That operation has been going on. I was there under Operation Inherent Resolve. That thing has been going on since like 2016, 2017. It didn't go away under the Biden administration. All the Biden administration did was they just managed things.
So you're saying they have a time envelope and resource envelope where they got to do something, and outside of
Yes.
that, they're done. So hey, we got all this stuff. Hey, this is our one shot. They're
This
ready to
is
just
it.
take that shot.
Yes. This is the one shot. This is it. They got to do everything. They had 90 to 120 days before what? The midterms. And then in the midterms, if they're not winning, right, and have a turnaround or anything else, then they're just going to continue to go into force. And then this time, they're going to have to bring people or surge up their gendarmerie or their special or extra military, extra judicial policing forces to do what? To intimidate people at the polls. They already said it. They're going to bring in their folks to intimidate people at the polls if they even have elections, because again, he can say, well, I'm declaring war
Well, I
without
mean,
congressional approval.
the polls have been irrelevant for a minute now because
Mm-hmm.
it's the donors that control everything like that. So they'll just buy the people that matter will just buy more congressmen, and it won't make a bit of difference. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the polls, so that's a kabuki dance anyway, but makes people feel good. But when you they were saying about if they choose the people who can run, I mean, you got two parties, and they select the people that can run, and they give you your options. Unlike a parliamentary government, you got two options, so it doesn't matter. I mean, they can do what they want to. I think that's the thing to get us fighting for our voting rights and everything like that. Hey, they didn't vote out the Native Americans. They don't vote. They don't vote. They don't take power by voting.
But to me, it's a fake system, because what they want you to do is act like you have a choice in the matter. It's a good act.
Yeah.
And now people are seeing that. Well, I thought that this person was going to bring this or bring that. Look, the one person, Barton, the UK Prime Minister. Oh, we're gonna try and distance ourselves from the war. This dude said we're putting ourselves right into the war. That dude lied.
Yeah.
And now UK's in trouble, because now them rockets, the missiles, can then land in the UK. And I say this as I was alluding to earlier. The only way that, to be honest, the the United States and the West will give some sort of a pause for concern is when Iran, if they choose, decides that they target a base in here in the United States. That's it. But they have to understand that when they do that, the U.S. is going to send them a nuke. So either way, they're darned if they do, darned if they don't. But when that does happen, again, I'm telling you, there's now a confluence of forces. You now have Africa that's about to, to have some folks. So obviously, they're going to try to utilize some other people. And again, I say this, they always try to say that, well, we're going to use Nigerians, well, we're going to use Ghanaians, well, we're going to use, look, and then they're not able to use them. No, what folks in the continent are doing is, okay, we'll do the training, we'll do the exercises. Oh yeah, we'll get the money. Yeah, we'll get you your money. Hey, now that you have the training and exercise, I need you to go in to invade Mali. No, that's not going to happen. Do y'all remember that? They were doing that with Nigeria. They were doing that with Ghana, with ECOWAS. And then they were like, okay, can we go ahead and get this thing started? And they said no. That was 2 years ago. They said no.
Well, now that the Emirates aid has stopped in the Sudan, is Sudan going to pivot towards the AES now? Even though they have some support, I mean, where will they go? Where will the African nations stack up at being active opposition to the West like the AES, or they're still going to dance around in the middle like ECOWAS?
I would say this: if they're actually serious about the UN declaration that was made in March, this is where they have to actually, this is the African Union now. You have to actually put up or shut up. This is it. You're either putting up or you're shutting up. There's nothing else. Because now what you're saying is, oh, you can have all the talk, you're talking the talk. Can you walk the walk? You're talking to talk about, neocolonialization. This is neocolonialization literally happening, and you all aren't going to say anything. Everybody's looking, including the diaspora. We're looking at this. If they don't say anything or they don't do anything in a demonstrative setting, then we're just going to say, okay, they lied.
If they don't act right, they're in the same position that the Arab nations are, where their populace wants them to go. Their populace they should fear their populace rising up if they don't make the right decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they've already made that declaration, and if they made that declaration, technically speaking, people will rise up on that. You better not have any of our people go. Matter of fact, you better have our people go and help to defend our brothers up there in the north.
Of 400 years of really dealing with the United States or dealing with Esau, the progenitors from Esau, we should understand that whatever you build, you better be able to defend. This is what happened to Black Ross Street, Rosewood, and they don't talk about. They tried to do that in the Black Belt of Chicago. The Red Summer of 1919. But them black people got out there with them guns and stuff like that, and they had to call in the National Guard and stop and shut it down because we were literally fighting back. But long term, nothing in here is defensible. You can tell FBA all you want to do like that. There's nothing here that isn't defensible through a warfare or through legal means that cannot be taken through lawfare or through natural or economic domain. There's 6 ways to Sunday that you have no sovereignty here. Until you get sovereignty somewhere, you have nothing. We haven't got so much as a reservation here. No area of sovereignty here to defend. You have nothing to defend. So and I'm hoping and I believe that philosophy is waning away in the face of stark reality. And when it happens, that situation is our position in America is indefensible. And if we haven't found that in 400 years, we deserve to perish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on both sides. That's on both sides of the water. I believe though that this is a different time, and if you're suggesting things like that, because they wouldn't they would not blatantly suggest going after Africa like that, because they already know who would then be coming through. That's the Chinese and the Russians. So that's why I say if they try to go after or to go into Africa, that they're not going to fight in Africa.
Do you think it will only be just China and Russia? Because I don't.
Oh no, it'll be a couple other nations, but China and Russia will headline it. It'll be a couple
Yeah.
other nations.
And I think that America, I think that it would be quite a few countries that are in the South China Sea. And I think at that point, America would have lost completely.
Well, biblically, at least 2 other carpenters, probably 2 other workmen.
Yeah, you've got North Korea. That's a definite as well. And you've already got the other one that you're currently engaged in. So they really don't want to do that. They really don't want to do that. Because it's like, some people will be like, well, why would they bother if they're not going to do for Iran? Why would they? Because we're talking about, like, people ain't going to fight over one nation, but they are going to fight for resources. They are going to, they are going to fight for, in their head anyway, dominance over the resource that is in Africa. Everybody, look, we already know what's in Joel chapter 3. We already know these nations are going to come. So regardless of whether America wants to or not, it's going to happen. They're going to come down and they're going to think that, like, one group is going to think, oh, I'm going to take it anyway because there is a need for it. And the other side is going to stop them, not because, no, you can't do that because that's naughty. No, they're going to stop them because, like, no, it's kind of like a predator that's defending its territory.
Well, we have to look at our own example. Yeshua told us that these walls are going to be torn down with not one stone standing upon another stone. But there we were, defending the temple, defending those walls, and getting overcome by the Romans. You don't listen. You can have your destruction can be prophesied, the Most High can tell you, but in our arrogance, we messed around and found out, and they're doing the same thing we did. That's why we know that you can't go the other way.
But this is kind of like it's a good study for us to actually understand what our ancestors went through, because, like the scripture says, all these curses that were on you are going to be on them that hate you and persecuted you, and to the Yehudim first and then to the Gentiles. So we already know the history of what happened, the fall of Jerusalem, right? So we're seeing in real time what happened to our ancestors, what is happening to Babylon right now. We're literally seeing these people coming together or coming against one another as a civil war, which is exactly what happened just before the Romans came and took over and everything, yeah, or burnt it. Isn't that funny?
We were fighting within the walls, inside of the Romans. We were fighting within the walls among us, inside of the Romans, and messing up our supplies in there.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then what happened? What did the Romans do? They burnt the city down to the ground. What does the Bible say is going to happen to Babylon?
They said they're going to look afar off and see the fires of her burning.
Right. Like, it's poetry, isn't it? As George Lucas would say, it's poetry, it rhymes.
Poetic justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and it's interesting because we're seeing this, and when we see this, It's all playing out, and when it plays on out, Teo says America is over. The Ezra Alawi are in serious trouble. 2027 will be bad. Pray for the Most High to allow us to flee soon. And exactly, and everything is Yah. Literally, is Yah allowed. We can try and do things. We could try to work on things and plan things. It's all the Most High allowed.
Yeah.
And you have to understand it's for a reason, because if you go too soon or you go too early, you're gonna get picked off. And I think a lot of our people, I remember it was in Exodus. And the people were grumbling and complaining, and then the Most High said, "Hey, y'all are gonna have another. Y'all are gonna be here for 40 years. 40 years in here." And they were mad. They wanted to get to the promised land. They tried to go. Hey, we're gonna be encouraged, right? That was after the report from Caleb.
Too late.
And
Too
Joshua.
late.
Yeah,
and they got beat. They got beat back, and they got beat back,
and they got deleted.
Said, the Most High said, "Those children who you thought will be a prey shall enter the land. Those children who were gangbanging, doing wild street things and everything like that, who thought would be a prey, that the enemy would just they'll enter the land, and your carcasses will die in this desert, except for Joshua and Caleb, which I hope to be Joshua and Caleb. I try very much to be like that and not bring the evil report, so I can get in the land.
I'm gonna try and keep my mouth shut. No complaining.
And that's exactly what happened. People were complaining, they were grumbling, and the Most High said, "Nope, you got to stay here."
I'm just gonna be like, Father, I want out, but I will trust in you. That's look, we're gonna have to humble ourselves and literally just say that.
Yeah,
you know my heart. I want us as a people to be situated, but I know that you're working a plan. There is something behind the scenes that we can't see. We can't see. We see as a child sees. We want everything now. But the Most High is like, you're not seeing everything else that's backed up. I've got to do this, that, and that first.
We have to be following the Ruach HaKodesh. See, we have to get instructions real time. We can't be get a one message and build a dogma around that, and then build a religious construct, and this is what we're going to do. We have to be listening to the Most High real time, which means you have to be in Yeshua. Therefore, you can internalize. He said, we will come to have the Most High, the Father and Son, dwelling within you, so you can get that real time information and move in concert with people who are getting those same signals, and not trying to use the vanity of your mind, do the fault of the oppressors, and make a construct and a dogma like some of the groups that are getting out there who purport to be Israel. You can't I'm going to say the cults. We got a name for them. You know what I'm talking about, the groups. You can't do that.
Oh yeah.
You got to be listening real time and following instructions real time.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Most High is moving. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're not certain of what you're hearing, the Bible literally says, and the scriptures will say, test the spirits, see if they are Yah. The only way you can do that is the same way we figured out who we were, and that's by reading the scriptures. You hear that, you hear it in your spirit. Some of us, the Holy Spirit told us, but with all of us, we all went into the word to fact check, and then we went to history, and it was okay. This is it. The word is our guide. There is a reason why the Gentiles are starting to cast it off. If when they're chucking away something that we know was good,
that's why they redacted it. That's why they redacted it.
then we need to be picking up that word. That is ours. It was written by our people, our ancestors, for such a time as this. This is not a time for us to be like, oh yeah, we only have to hear what the Holy Spirit's saying. Don't get it twisted. I agree. But this is also a time where there are other entities in the world,
It says,
and where there are
believe
other
not every
people.
spirit, but test the spirits to see
Right.
if they of God.
And
There are other
these
spirits out
spirits,
there. You
right, they're
giving you
going to tempt
information.
you as well. They're going to come just like how, look, for people that I'm like, do you not understand how Satan tried to tempt tried to tempt Yahusha? If he tried to tempt him into falling, what makes you think he ain't going to tempt you? What did Yeshua lean on? He leaned on the word that was his, to the point where Satan had to do the same thing, but he twisted it, because that's how, see, that's how they do things. They would take something and twist it. But that's what Satan did. But the Most High, Yahushua turned and said, he said, get behind me. Get behind me. Thou shalt not tempt me. Like he basically told you. But he went and he used scripture to
Man shall
back
not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God.
right. So
We
in this day and
ask
age,
God to show us in the Word. When you get a spirit,
right,
ask the Most High. Well, show me in the Word. And if
right.
that spirit can't
That's the
show you in
only
the
reason
Word,
why
then
we're
that
all
ain't
here.
Him.
That's the only reason why we're all here, is because we've been in that word, because we all started. We've all read Deuteronomy 28, and then we from that we ventured on, and then we realized,
Well,
oh my
for me,
gosh, there's so much we don't know.
that well, I, I,
Huh?
I, I
You're going out.
pray from
They're
that.
throttling you.
We went through and we prayed and we asked the most. All right, yeah. Sorry, it's about that time. You have to worship in spirit and in truth. You may have the truth, but if you don't have the spirit, then that's going to be
Yeah.
a problem. And
Yeah.
we've been talking about that. Look, there's a lot of truth on out there, right? But a lot of people want to be able to say, well, you know what, this and that and that and that and what's the truth? I don't know. The Most High will reveal it to you. He reveals all things. And we have to be very, very understanding that as he reveals and gives us that revelatory knowledge, that revelatory knowledge is something that we have to be able to work through based off of what the Most High is telling us through his son Yahushua HaMashiach. It's impossible to please the Most High without faith. How do you have faith? You got to pray about things. Father, show me. And when you pray about things, that's what you're going to have to do.
And we have to live an undefiled life so we can
You
be a
have to wait.
credible witness.
Go ahead.
I said we have to live an undefiled life. We have to you can't be we can't be wretched. Wretched ain't working for us. We can't do that and try and speak truth, because truth coming from a defiled vessel is not credible. You're not a credible witness. So we gotta live like we know him, and then speak the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we're in a different era. We see what's going on, so we need to be very mindful of how things are working, and it's a blessing to be in this position. It really is.
Yes.
Even though we're going through hardships, even though we're going through struggles, you name it, it's still a blessing because the Most High is really good. He truly is. But with that, I need to get final thoughts, and we can wrap it up in about 2 minutes or less. 2 minutes or less. I appreciate it.
I'll go first. Can you hear me? All right, good. I wasn't sure
Yes,
if
we
my
can.
mute button was on or off. Um, Thank you for having me on. Thank you for letting me talk, and just thank you all for being my brothers and sisters. So I just want to say that, and I'll keep it short and sweet. Yah bless you and be with you. Shalom, everyone.
Hallelujah. Be safe
Uh,
on out there on them London streets.
Well,
because she's
I'll
closer
be
to
sure.
Iran than we are. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they really got that new world order over there coming in. Well, I
Hmm.
just say it's on Israel. Listen for the Most High, test things with the word, and follow the pathway. Our ancestors long to see this day, so stay steadfast, follow on through, discern truth, and follow the instructions of the Most High, and we shall enter the land. That's it for me.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Minister Rick. All right. Well, family, this has been a very interesting week to say the least. And it's going to continue to be even more interesting because, again, it went from they weren't fighting to now they're fighting. They're now at a war. And now it's going to be what happens next. Now, there are things that I do behind the scenes with our brothers and sisters on the continent. There are things that, again, I thank the Most High because I said, Father, I don't know how I have this amount of patience. It's only because of you. So that's why I say, family, and I ask, please, please, please keep me up in your prayers. Please support Q2A. I'll be on Q2A tomorrow, Q2A Live. I'll be doing a live discussion because there's a couple different things. While the world is going crazy, Africa's actually doing really good. They're actually in a really good position. That's why you understand why Trump wants to invade Mali. Come on. If they were such an asshole country or they had issues, why invading them? We know why. With that said, family, Most High willing, I'll be on again this upcoming Monday about 7:30 or so. I had to I woke on up. My sinuses and everything else is just crazy. So I thank the Most High. He allowed me to even be on here for over 2.5 hours. So again, family, thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your support. And again, please also support our other ministries, our other partners. We are here in this community to help serve you. We serve you as the Most High has instructed us to serve you. Everybody has their niche in our community partners. Because again, we're not getting out of here as a group of people. We're actually getting on out of here as a nation. Can a nation be born in one day? Yeah, it can, but there still has to be some coordination pieces to that. The Most High is good. He's put it on our hearts for us to do what needs to be done. Some will be this, some will be that. Look, we know how the Most High delineates and does things, and he puts us in places that we may not even want to be at. I know that was the case for me. So again, thank you all because your support does continue to encourage, and it does. It's a refresher to the spirit. It really does, especially in these days and hours. As I'm praying for our people, praying that our people are safe, are healthy, are secure, especially in these days. We can't take it for granted. We can't take anything for granted. Okay. Because we are truly a blessed people, and the Most High is showing that each and every day. And they show that because how do we even have this much joy in all this craziness? That's the Most High. It truly is. So with that said, family, Most High willing, I'll see you all later. Be blessed and take the name of Yahusha with you wherever you go. So with that said, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.